Alright, welcome back everybody to Monster House for the GBA. We have just beaten the dum-dum mannequin wife for the second time and are trying to get out of this area. However, we're having trouble doing that because I'm missing something. So that is what we are looking for. In case you're wondering, no, I'm not going to turn on my flashlight, as I've said before. Why would I do that? That's stupid. That would actually make this easier for me. Why would I want stuff to be easier when it can be harder? So, yeah. To be 100% honest, however, I must say that I don't turn on the flashlight because I can see pretty well without the flashlight. It does help, you know, and, you know, to figure out if the guy is aggroed or not. However, it's not necessary. If I hit him, that is, it doesn't matter. But it's good to be able to see whether or not my hits are confirming and blah blah blah. Nice try, bitch. You guys think you're cool, but you're not. We're gonna get some health. We're gonna save. And then, we'll try to figure a way out of this area, since I'm currently stuck. So, that will be fun, right? I appreciate all the health they're giving me here in this area, which it was also the boss arena, but a little confused as well, I'm not gonna lie. You know, why would you have health drops inside of a boss arena, you know? I mean, or it's like a do or do not thing, you know? There is no halfway. It's another piece of heart. Da-da-da-da. Second piece of heart is brass. Alright, we rock the house. Alright, friends, sounds like your quest is near an end. Find the last piece of the small brass heart to confront the large fiery. Thank you for reminding us, Skull. Come on, guys, back to the elevator. Oops, I got caught. What do I mean by I'm stuck? There's something I need. It'll get me unstuck. Prevent me from moving on with the game, or finding the last piece of heart. However, it did proc all of the barrels for me to fill my guys up with hearts. Double-fisted. I don't want to look at my points, though. That would be silly. My computer's trying to remind me that I have points to spend, and I don't want to use them, because I don't know how to spend them. So, I went home this past weekend. Well, it wasn't really the weekend, I just went home for Sunday. Visit my parents. And both of my siblings were there, which is unusual. Usually it's one or the other. It's not usually both. About maybe once a season if it's a holiday, you know, you'll run into them on the 4th of July or, you know, the big ones, Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, they'll probably be there. I found a trash can. I recognize this trash can. One of the cans we used outside. If I hit myself in it, maybe I could use it to sneak around without being noticed, especially by the floor traps. All the grabby hands, the floor hands, the whole 9 yards, they're completely unable to tell a walking garbage can. So as far as I'm aware, this does not affect other enemies. Like, I don't think if you walk towards a walking chair and he notices that you happen to be walking towards him as a human child and then you put on the trash can, that suddenly he'll stop trying to attack you. However that worked. That shortcuts us straight to, here. You might say to Chris, Chris, what are you doing? You have a perfect path back to the thing. Well, now that I got the trash can, I can actually go pick up the other, excuse me, hidden item at the end of the, you know, the back upper corner of this puzzle that I wasn't able to get. It'll take a little bit of backtracking, mind you. But everything, puzzle-wise, has already been solved, so this should be a pretty much a... aside from refilling or emptying out the sewer, plus killing the enemies that respawn, should be more or less a straight shot to the, to where I want to go. Not too concerned. And other than I don't want to die and have to redo everything, but I guess we're only going back a little bit if I do die. Free candy! Alright. Everybody's back to life, alive. Gonna go on with the game. Lex is telling me there's a frost advisory in effect till tomorrow. What else? So anyways, siblings were home this weekend, kind of, I wouldn't say surprising, you know, I see my brother Greg maybe twice a month or so. So, Sister Julie, very busy girl, she manages a store, so, that's that, you know, as they say. So she's usually busy on the weekends, either working or, you know, doing her own life, you know, because if you work, say you work retail, let's use your imagination, okay? Probably working lots of, you know, big sale days, which are, having worked retail, probably Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You know, those are the big days. Holidays, you know, minor holidays like Labor Day, you know. That's what Labor Day's for, right? Laboring, you know, everybody gets it off, but not retail employees. They have to labor on Labor Day. Fast food workers, whatever. But anyways, tends to be a big day for people, you know, to make sales. So of course she's busy those days. She'll be busy on Black Friday as well. But in order to get to the point of this story, probably makes better money than I do. Yeah, that's the point of the story. She makes better money than I do there. Are you guys happy? No. More or less to complain about, you know, the nature of businesses, you know, and that's just is what it is, man. You want to make the most profit, you put the most people when you're going to make the most profit. And you put you work less people and there's less, you know, demand, or there's less business. You know? I get it. No, not gonna lie, I get it. I mean, I'm very much a proponent of, you know, this idea that, you know, if you're gonna have workers, you should pay them well, and at the same time, like, the value of stuff should be in proportion to, you know, the cost of items should be in proportion to, you know, some of that labor. And I say that because I know that people are complaining about how much McDonald's workers are making. Can you believe they're paying McDonald's workers $20 an hour? And I'm always looking at McDonald's going, yeah, this place is like a couple years off of, you know, going fully automated. Where essentially as long as the burgers aren't piling up on the conveyor belt, you know, you're gonna keep, you know, so that means that you have all this, you have way less labor. Sure, the machines probably cost a ton to initially put in, but like, in terms of all the labor you're saving over the course of a year, and then you're gonna charge me $5-10 for a Big Mac because, well, it's just inflation, you know? I mean, sure, we reduced our labor force by 50%, but, you know, everything else has gone up in price, and I'm like, but you saved all that money in labor, and you're not paying benefits. I mean, like... I mean, I get the fact that beef and bread and cheese and all that fun stuff, you know, costs money, and, you know, when those prices go up, so do your, you know, the value, the end item of your cheeseburger or Big Mac or whatever. I get that. I just, you know, people often say that, well, you know, this is why, you know, don't Ford was in a recent dispute with their labor union about payment, and I don't know what those assembler people were getting paid. I know there's certainly less of them than there was in the 70s and such because of automation and that, but you know, I don't know. Maybe prior to this negotiation they were making $80,000 a year with six weeks paid leave, or maybe they were making, you know, $50,000 a year with 2 weeks of, you know, flex vacation time, which includes being sick or having to take off time for kids, what have you. I don't know. But people are complaining that, you know, now they're going to start making some of these people are going to start making six-figure salaries, and, you know, you're going to go buy a F-150 and it's going to cost you $100,000 now. Like, yeah, so you're complaining about the cost of labor, you know, skyrocketing your truck or SUV for Ford. But when it comes to getting rid of all the employees getting rid of the majority of the employees at McDonald's, no, that hamburger's still going to cost you $5 or whatever. You know, you're not, as a consumer, you're not going to see any cost save. You know, people aren't going to have as much, you know, people aren't going to have jobs. They're not going to be available anyways at McDonald's. Not that people only want to work at McDonald's. You often hear about that, you know, oh, I'm just working at McDonald's. It's such a crappy job. I get it. I get it. I'm not going to lie. I get it. I don't know. I just think that, you know, in terms of percentages of what people, you know, like, if you have, you know, if you run your own business, okay, and you put up, let's say, $100,000 to get the business started. I know it's more than that. Don't hit me in the comments. You start up your own business, cost you $50,000, okay, now you gotta hire some people. They're gonna cost you, let's say, $15 an hour. You got three people to work for you. You know, all that shit adds up. And then the cost of materials, cost of food, labor, what have you. All that shit adds up. I get it. Business owner, you want to make a profit at the end of the day. You don't want to just be making, you know, paying your employees $15 an hour while you're scraping by eating ramen noodles every night. But you know, if your company is making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and your employees have to fight tooth and nail to get, you know, like a $2 raise or whatever, you know, to keep up with inflation, I don't know. It just doesn't seem right to me. I mean, I understand the concept of any business is to infinitely expand, infinitely increase profits, you know, keep labor costs low, keep material costs low, you know, keep prices competitive, and then, you know, eventually at some point you'll probably run into a bigger demon who has lower cost items at lower cost or lower wages and eventually go bankrupt. I get it. That's always the risk. I get that. But in the same breath, as a country that makes so much wealth, it's just so strange what the wealth inequality is in this country. And when people argue for higher wages, you know, all you hear about is, well, that's just gonna make my hamburger go up in price. Or, you know, I don't want to pay these higher prices. You know, they don't deserve to get higher wages. You know, I don't know what to say to those people because, you know, as my mother used to say to her parents and my grandparents, you know, this isn't the 1940s anymore, you know? We don't live in a time where you go down the street and, you know, get bread for a nickel, you know? And I get the fact that they weren't making, you know, the same amount of dollar per hour we are, but this concept that, well, you know, as I got older and I went from making, you know, say $20,000 a year to $35,000 to $40,000 a year over the course of 10 years, you know, that no one else's wages in that time period should have rose, or if they did, it should be pennies on the dollar. I don't know. It just irritates me. You know, I mean, particularly when you have so many big companies basically dictating, you know, saying that, you know, well, you don't want to unionize, it's a waste of your money, it's a waste of your time, you know. And then when people do unionize, then they're complaining that the prices are going out of beyond, you know, what. And I get the economy is sort of, the market will dictate that. You know, that's the famous saying, the market will dictate it, you know, that when profits are higher, then you can pay your workers more. But that's not how that works. We know that for a fact. And then, you know, if cost of things goes up, then so does everything else, and that causes inflation. And I get that. You know, when gasoline prices would go up, you would see, you know, the cost of everything went up a couple bucks because gas went from $3 a gallon to $5 a gallon, or $4.50 or whatever the spike, the top of the spike was. And then the gas prices came down by about $1, and then none of the goods came down $1. You know, they just sort of adjusted and they said, well, you know, a gallon of milk is now, you know, $3.50 or $4 or whatever, and it's not ever coming back down, even if it's not costing them as much in gasoline. You know, they're in other words, they're quick to raise their prices and very reluctant to ever lower prices for any reason. Which again, that creates that's part of the cycle. That's what creates the problem, and ultimately inflation is this. Well, you know, the cost of everything went up $1. You know, so now I need to be making, you know, enough to make up the difference, and then I don't know. I just kind of wonder about the way things are going, because, you know, you listen to people talk, well, you know, automation, the AI, the whole 9 yards, it's going to replace a chunk of jobs. We're not going to say all jobs. We're just going to say, for a matter of being a little bit fair, we're just going to say they're going to replace a number of jobs. So whether that percentage is 10% or 50%, you know, You know, it's going to help make businesses more efficient because the AI is doing a lot of meaningless, routine labor. Great, but the cost of those items, since you're saving all of that time and effort in wages and benefits and 401ks and everything else, well, no, I mean, the price of that stuff doesn't come down. You know, and as a consumer, you just sort of shake your head because up to this point, there's not really been any competition. And when there has been competition, you know, over the, you know, with the dawning of the internet, you just watch these companies like Amazon, you know, not just be the better choice, but to become the monster itself, you know? And I understand, speaking of monster, I understand that in any business, let alone online business, you know, you either keep up with the times, which is rapidly changing, or you die and you become, you know, you end up becoming like Monster.com, where Monster.com used to be back in, you know, the 2000s. That was where you would go to look for jobs. Well, combination of too many, you know, fake jobs or pyramid schemes, just filling up the boards of yeah, that was a mistake. I didn't see this right here. That's my mistake. So we will fix that here in a moment. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, the block does not respawn. So I gotta go 2 doors down or so to get the block to respawn in this room. Any hoops? I don't know. And I sometimes wonder, like, you know, say, I don't know what unemployment is right now, but let's say unemployment's 6% or 8% or whatever is considered normal or low or whatever, okay? And then all of a sudden, you know, you start, because of AI, start gutting all these jobs to reduce, you know, costs and you know, redundancies, and you're gonna let the computer take care of all of the routine, you know, mundane tasks, you know. But at the end of the day, whether that, you know, that person or persons, you know, they need to pay their mortgage or pay their rent and have electricity and eat food, and, you know, maybe, you know, you can look at it in a positive light insofar as, well, that opens them up to pursuing a different passion or whatever. But again, less people working means less money in people's pockets, which means less money being spent. And at the end of the day, those people still need to, you know, their basics. They need to feed themselves and house themselves. And, you know, they, you know, obviously, provided that you follow the normal method, they buckle down. Well, you know, you buckle down and you remove all extraneous expenses. Well, that starts out with, you know, how you know, and I've talked about this before, how deep do you cut? Do you start out with just your basics? You know, do you get rid of, you know, you get rid of your Hulu, your Netflix subscriptions? Okay, great, you're saving a little bit of money every month on those. Great. Then you get rid of your cable, or you get rid of your internet or whatever, and you're saving money there. Great. And you get rid of your cell phone or whatever, so that you're kind of just, we'll say, living on the basics. You're not really, I mean, it is kind of the you know, you can, the basics can get very basic is what I'm trying to get at. Like, how basic do you want to go? Do you really need, you know, internet? Do you really need phone? Do you really need, heat? I mean, heat's a big one. Water's a big one. So I don't know. It always confuses me. Because, I mean, if they can't make, I look at it this way. Again, this is a matter of the way you look at things. You know, I imagine people are overall good people. You know, they're trying to do the right thing, trying to live in society to the best of their ability, and, you know, they're not outwardly trying to, you know, fuck people over or, you know, try to rip them off because, you know, it's all about me and, you know, you don't matter, the only person that matters is me. So if you were running a business, that'd probably be like the big thing, is you'd want to be all about me if you could. But to the point, you know, when people need to meet certain standards, and you reduce their ability to live within the social or stratic norm, it makes it more difficult for them to continue to obey the laws as written. Like, you know, obviously you go to a grocery store and your basic staples of, let's say, bread and vegetables and meat, you're not able to get those via legal method, and you start stealing, you know. And I know it's not that, you know, that dire that, you know, anyone who doesn't make enough money, they immediately go to theft. No, I get that, but you start doing things that are, you know, skirting the law, or, you know, basically taking advantage of things that exist to help, in a way that, you know, maybe you're not really the target audience for. Or vice versa, maybe you don't qualify for something you actually need, like, you know, healthcare. Because healthcare is not a right, it's a privilege in this country, which is a joke. Because we've made it in such a way where healthcare is like, you've made healthcare a privilege where the old need it, so they gotta work at jobs that the better the job provides health insurance, the more of a value that is to those workers. But as a young person, such as myself, you know, you get, every time you turn around, you're getting penalized for going to the doctor. It's like, provided you're not, you know, really all truly sick and need to go to the hospital, you know, it's like, well, I have a cold or I have the flu or whatever, you know, I'm not going to go to the doctor to find out what I A, already know, and B, you know, you know, you're going to go there, your insurance isn't going to pay for it, so you're going to pay out of pocket for the visit, and then if the person who's doing the coding codes it wrong, you'll probably pay a little bit more out of pocket once the bill comes. You know, because some amount of your doctor's visit ultimately will be covered, you know, and then, you know, you play the game of chicken where it's like, hey, I think your services are worth 15 bucks, and you're like, but I need 20 bucks to make sure this place still runs, but we can give you 18 and a half. It's like, okay. But then you play the game of chicken where they then say, well, I need to make 20 bucks, so I'm going to charge $50 in the hopes that they pay me somewhere in the ballpark of 20 bucks. We're making good progress through this this floor. I'm guessing it's because we've gotten to the point of the game where nothing is obscured from me, you know, with the trash can now. So, you know, between weapon upgrades, this trash can, you know, nullifying these floor guys for me, and you know, the fact, like I said, the fact that my weapons are way stronger than they used to be. I've got, you know, on Ginny alone, I've got twice the amount of health, twice the amount of health I had to start with her. Yeah, sure, the enemies are doing a little bit more damage because they're high-level enemies, but I mean, with the weapon upgrades, I'm sort of defeating that purpose, you know? Because, you know, while they do 2 more damage, I'm killing them before they can do damage to me. And I've not really needed to use my water bottles at all, which is something that's a little perplexing because I was using the water bottles regularly when my guns were at a lower level. They were like the lifesaver where I could not have to super worry about running out of ammo because I had a bottle of water in my back pocket in case I needed to refill, so I don't have to run back to a bathroom and reproc all the enemies. I just love how big his knockback is on this. I mean, look, as soon as they open up their mouth and I release my charge blast, it just shoots them like halfway across the screen.